Hi guys, so Mark Dolan from GB News produced this monologue about what it means to be English and what it means to be a patriot. This is part of the so-called culture war that's been imported from the USA, an attempt to convince people that statues and flags are more important than people's lives, that showing love for a symbol is more important than making sure poor children are fed. Issues that have no place in the 21st century, like homelessness and poverty, and attempts to return them to the rightful place in the past, are unimportant to those on the right of the culture war. Mark and GB News want people to be angry about things that don't matter and indifferent to the things that do.
The Archbishop of York has criticised the London metropolitan elite for looking down on people who are proud to be English.
Who are these London metropolitan elite? Can we have some names? I would love to know who these people are, so I can challenge them and ask them, why are they looking down on people? Isn't it interesting how the right will always use unidentified individuals, so the unidentified people, as the enemy? They'll never name these people. They never say, this person has said this and this person should be challenged. They're always faceless blocks, monoliths that need to be challenged.
The Most Reverend Stephen Cottrell said such people should not be treated as backwardly xenophobic. He called for an expansive vision of what it means to be English and for the country to recover a sense of national unity. Writing in the Daily Telegraph, he questioned why being patriotic has become a taboo and how right he is to ask. Meanwhile, it's been revealed that the government have spent more than £163,000 on Union flags in the last 2 years. £163,000. What a disgrace. It's not nearly enough. They should be spending millions.
Please tell me this is satire, or it's a very lame attempt at satire. Sir Ronventy says these types of things. We should be spending more on flags. Every home in the country should have a flag because that makes them better off in some way. You don't have to worry about food or making sure that you can pay your rent or pay your bills. That's not important. What's more important is to have a flag.
Because a population that loves its country will always be happier, safer, more united, and of course, more successful.
Can you provide us some evidence to back that up? And loving your country, for me, is loving the people of the country and making sure that they're looked after. But that's something that's completely alien to conservatives, including Mark Dolan here. He's against making sure that people have enough to eat, that they have a roof over their heads, or that they have food put on their table, that their children are safe, that they don't get involved in crime. These are things that are mostly important to people, not flags. Can you eat a flag?
Patriotism is often conflated with nationalism, usually by those with a political agenda or an axe to grind.
We all have political agendas, Mark. You have a political agenda. I have a political agenda. There isn't anyone on the planet who doesn't have a political agenda, something they would like to push forward, something they would like to implement.
There's a very big difference between the two. History teaches us that nationalism is a profoundly negative force, an arrogant, egocentric worldview that says that your country's good and other countries are bad.
There are different types of nationalism. It's a very simplistic approach he has. There's, for example, ethno-nationalism. There's a culture. There's a civic nationalism. For example, ethno-nationalism says our ethnic group is more important than anyone else in the country. We would like a country of just us, of our ethnic group. There's also civic nationalism, where the country is indifferent. The state is indifferent to the ethnic makeup of the country. They would prefer people follow goals of the country or certain shared beliefs.
And that you are in some way superior. Nationalists seek disruption and division, separatism and war.
Okay, nationalism seeks disruption and division, and separatism seeks war. But separatism is not clearly nationalism, because most separatists don't see themselves as separatists. They see themselves as nationalists. Mark is a Brexiteer. He wanted Britain to be out of the European Union. Is Mark a separatist? Is Mark not a nationalist? And then he says about war is bad, but is it wrong to fight for your freedom? Is it wrong to fight an oppressor? Is it wrong to rebel?
Patriotism is quite the opposite. It's a love for your country.
What do you mean by that? A love for your country?
Its people, its values, its culture, its language, its institutions, and its history.
So I want to pick out two things here. First, he said patriotism is about love for the people and the history. Okay. But if it's about love for the people, well then surely you care about the people. You make sure that they are fed, they have a house, they have a social safety net, they're protected, for example, from politicians who lie and cheat them. Why don't you care about that? But then also history, he says about history. You can't love your history. You can admire part of your history, but that requires you to ignore another part of your history. Does Mark love slavery? I hope he doesn't. Does he love the conquest of the Royal Navy? Let's ignore his surname for a moment. Maybe he does. But you can't say that you love history and you love people, especially people, because you don't seem to care about those people.
Nationalism is a negative force, patriotism an abundantly positive one.
How can it be positive? Well, my definition of patriotism is looking after people, the people of the country, making sure that they are fed, that they have clothes, that they have a roof over their head, that they don't go hungry, that they don't suffer. That's my definition of patriotism. A country that cares about its people. But Mark doesn't seem to care about his people. He cares more about flags. He cares more about national anthems. He cares more about symbolism. He doesn't seem to care if people go hungry or they aren't able to pay their bills. How is that patriotism? I'd love to know. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe Mark is correct. Patriotism is loving your history, irrespective of what it contained. Patriotism is loving a flag more than people. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?